It's Friday.
It's Friday and it's Hot Topics.
Still get you moving, though.
It does.
Happy Friday, everyone.
Yeah, we're really excited because tonight is Tiki Bar. Woohoo! So that's great news. It's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't joined us, you got to join us today. Go to the community. It's free. Grab the link. We have a really cool guest today. His name is
Sean Patrick, and Faye and I are having a disagreement over his drink of choice.
Yes.
He did choose the Canadian Caesar, which I apologize for the people who are from around the world. You probably cannot get Clamato juice anywhere in the world except for Canada.
Now, doesn't that just sound nasty?
I love Caesars. She does not, so we're having a little bit of a disagreement this morning.
You know what Clamato juice is? It's what the name implies.
It's clams and tomato juice.
Like,
together.
Ew.
And it's so good mixed with vodka. So again, I apologize to the rest of Canada. We do, or not the rest of Canada, the rest of the world.
Yes.
It is a Canadian drink. And I don't know if you can get, because it's basically the equivalent, sort of a spicy version, slightly different from a Bloody Mary.
Right. But they don't probably use Clamato juice.
No, they use tomato juice in Bloody Mary.
That's civilized. Like Clamato juice. Who invented the Caesar? We put it on our video. So if you actually go to the community and join Tiki Bar for tonight, you can download the recipe for the Caesar.
Yummy drink.
And join us. And then if you are, one of the people that just the thought of Clamato juice makes you ill, then you can join me and have some wine.
Exactly. However, it's a rainy Friday, so I'm going to talk about something this morning that's a little ominous, not necessarily on the super fun side. And that's if somebody steals your stuff online and poses as you. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes.
What have they used?
Well, they didn't pose as me. They just stole all my stuff.
So that's pretty common.
Yeah.
So situations that I've seen in the past, I have a client who literally had their Instagram account duplicated. Mm-hmm. So they used her name, her profile picture, all of her images on the feed. They had the same number of followers as her. I don't know how the hacking world does that. But
I don't know either.
And there was actually multiple accounts, which is really funny because she's a lawyer. So you'd think you wouldn't go that route. But she actually had a hard time getting it taken down. Multiple people had to report it.
Yeah.
And that's on the Facebook side. I'll tell you sort of what their guidelines are here in a sec. My husband actually had it happen on LinkedIn.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's actually in my presentation. And so but they just stole his picture. So They didn't steal, quote unquote, his identity. They just stole his picture and they used it as their profile picture. Reported to LinkedIn, no problem. LinkedIn took the profile down literally within like hours.
Hey, if anyone sees somebody using my picture, could you let me know? I just like to see it.
See what they're doing.
I don't really care, but I'd like to see it. Like, am I on a porn site or something?
Yeah. Hello. So recently, so a girl that I know in a Facebook group had this happen. So she was educating us on her process of trying to get this taken down. So what they had done is they used her header photos, like took a bunch of images off of Instagram and used them in various places. They used one of the pictures as their profile. It's very clearly her, but they didn't use her name. And that apparently is the key.
Right.
So interesting. So she reported the profile and was encouraging everybody that she knew to report the profile because at least that way more people reporting it. They're aware that this is happening and I'm sure that they know. But it's interesting because we don't realize that you can literally take somebody else's photo and use it.
Yeah. And
there's not a copyright claim there when you put stuff out publicly, which is really interesting. You think it is. But the Facebook community guidelines, she contacted Facebook to get the account that was using her photos taken down, and Facebook responded with it was not in violation of their community guidelines because they did not use her photo, or they did not use her name.
So they can put my photo somewhere and say this is
Jane Smith,
and it's okay.
Yeah. There's nothing Facebook can do because technically it is not against their community guidelines because they're not impersonating you. Because impersonating you would mean using your name and pretending to be you. But they're not pretending to be you. They're just using your photos that are public.
So that means that all those people on those dating sites that use, pictures, especially the guys, because girls usually use their own pictures. But guys but guys that put like, these buff, guys on, they're not doing anything wrong as long as they're using their own name.
As long as they're not using your name and saying that is me. So
that's bizarre to me.
Yeah, it was so I literally read the response because she posted the response, which again, if you're listening, thank you so much because it educated me as well. She posted the screenshot of the response from Facebook that says, this is not in violation of our community guidelines because they are not impersonating you. They're not saying I am insert person's name, right? They didn't use her name as the profile that they created. They're just using the photos.
That's crazy. I don't.
And they said they wouldn't take it down.
That's not fair. Like, how do you not own your own? How can? So you don't own your own image. So technically, unless you're a celebrity,
you don't own your pictures that are public out there.
But when people use celebrities as a picture, oh no, but that's true. If they don't use their name, that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing.
That means now you know what's going to happen. Our pictures are going to be everywhere. And people are going to use our pictures because we've said, hey, this is the truth. This is what happens.
It's crazy.
As long as you give us good link backs,
I'm good.
We're okay with that.
Yeah. Make a good name.
Yeah. Give us a cut of what you're selling and we're okay.
But I just thought that was so interesting that here's this person who's using all of her personal photos that were, you do put a lot of public information and you don't realize how much public information you put out on different social media feeds, and all of hers
just
were from
Google yourself.
Exactly. And all of the pictures that they took were, she said, from Instagram. But obviously Facebook and Instagram are the same company. So she tried to report. And this was the response that said, this is not against our community guidelines because they're not impersonating you. They're not using your name and saying that they're you. That's a different story.
Right.
They're still, I can't remember what the name was. I didn't think it was a cool name because I was like you, like, well, if you're going to use my picture, like, make it a cool name so I can go, hey, I'm, whatever. But yeah.
That's insane. So good to know. And not get all crazy when you actually see your picture somewhere with somebody else's name and just go, oh, they're allowed. Can't do anything about it. So I guess we could use somebody's picture too. We could.
Absolutely. But I just thought I was just going to see if I could see it, but not while I'm trying to do this. I was just surprised. And that's why I just wanted to share it this morning that if you do see, obviously you're still going to try to take it down. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to let you know that, again, if they're not using your name and your photos are out there publicly on social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Now, again, I'll give kudos to LinkedIn because, again, same thing happened. Somebody was using my husband's profile picture, not his name. So technically, I don't know what their community guidelines are specifically,
right?
Because it always changes so much, but they immediately took it down. So good job, LinkedIn. But unfortunately, on the Facebook side, the pictures are public. And it's really hard to kind of say that they're not allowed to use it, which is kind of weird because it's obviously her. But technically, it's not an impersonation if they're not using your name.
Good to know.
I was really, I literally, I don't respond a lot to different things, especially in groups. I don't want to get into a legal battle because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But this one just fascinated me.
What if they used your picture with another famous name?
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Could they put my name? Could they put my picture with Wilma Flintstone?
Well, see, I would take a screenshot of that, and then I'd be proud, going, "Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'm good with that."
Just curious. How do they decide that? So if they put my name in and put a celebrity, whatever celebrity is that okay to do? Like, I'm not sure. Like, and
Apparently.
and who are these gods that make these rules?
Well, that's what's so surprising. Like the response from, this is not in violation of our community guidelines. Like, how is that not in violation of your community guidelines?
Yeah, who's the guy that's got the ding dong on this? Is it Zuckerberg? I don't think so.
Yeah, who's making that rule up that, like, it's clearly her? They can go and check her other accounts. This is her name. You can see all the photos. It's very clear. But I think from their perspective, again, she could very easily just be saying this, and this could be her. Like, there's no way of knowing.
So I guess the question is, so let's say that we have a website called Mastermind City, and we say you can put anyone's picture you want on, as long as it's a different name. So we can say that's okay, or we might be able to, or we might say, we might say, you know what, on ours, you can actually go ahead and use somebody else's picture and use their name and say this is your stuff. And we just decided that that's our rule.
Yeah, I don't.
Do we get to make our own rules too?
Exactly. But I don't know. I don't know because I know we talk a lot about photos and stealing photos off of Google and copyrights and stuff like that, and make sure that you're creating your own photos. I've talked about that a lot in different social media trainings. Like, don't just go to Google and take a photo, because there's a possible copyright claim here. But again, I was really surprised to see that, somebody creating an entire social media account using all of your photos.
So unless you copyright every single one of your pictures that have ever been published in your entire life, they can use it. Facebook says. I wonder what everyone else says. LinkedIn obviously asks you to take it down because it's a professional site that's linked to your name. Mm-hmm. But I'm curious as to, what Instagram would say about it. They take it down.
Well, that's usually. Facebook. That's the same. That's Facebook.
So Twitter, I have a feeling, would be more like LinkedIn.
I would have a feeling about that as well.
Yeah, and TikTok doesn't care.
No.
Because
there's lots of fan pages, right? Like,
I hate those pages. I hate those fan pages that you think is somebody's page.
Well, because it gets hard to figure out who's who. Like, where's the real one? Because you can very easily say the real Stacey Maynard. Yeah. Right? Like, anybody could create that. And
maybe that's what I'll create, and I'll put my picture on it.
Exactly.
That would be fun.
The real Faye Chapel. No, I was so fascinated reading reading about her situation. I offered, I'm sorry this happened. I didn't have really any advice because she had already done everything that I would have told her to do, which is contact Facebook, try to get it down, report the page, all of that stuff. And multiple people did. But when she finally did get a hold of somebody at Facebook to get this taken down, they said that they would not remove it.
Crazy.
Because it was not in violation of their community guidelines.
Crazy.
So just a warning out there, just be, what you put out there is public and can be obviously used in other accounts. And I know, again, my client who had that happen to her created I think there was 2 or 3, and it was just happened to be that somebody saw it.
Right.
Like, that's the other piece. Like, you wouldn't necessarily know because you're not really looking for yourself on social media, but maybe we should.
Maybe I will. I'd like to see my face somewhere else.
Again, if you're going, I agree with Faye, if you're going to use my pictures, please come up with a cool name.
Yeah.
So I can go, hey, look at me. I'm whatever.
Yeah. I think that would be really cool.
So that's my Friday public service announcement for the day.
That's good.
So not a fun topic, but it's still one that I think we need to be aware of.
Absolutely.
And understand where your limitations are.
And see how I have to always do a segue. So I was going to talk today about, momentum, whether it's forced or not. And maybe this is maybe somebody else is getting all your momentum because they're using your picture.
Oh, there's the segue.
So the reason I'm talking about it today is it's been a long haul in COVID era, and we're starting to creep out. Obviously, more so in some or certain places. But I did read that where was it? Somebody's going back down to somewhere in Australia is going back down to lockdown today because of the variant. Mm-hmm. So we got to be cognizant of it. But I think we're all starting to feel like it's time to go, right? We've been feeling it for a couple of weeks, and it's hard to get your momentum going, right? And sometimes forced momentum it's the way to do it. So this is sort of forced, but really exciting. So, we're launching our summer school of GIA in the next couple of weeks, July 19th. 18th, July 18th,
I think.
Summer school. And so we're really excited because it's our live version. So we're live with everybody for an 8-week period. And then that rolls into our conference in September. But here's the thing. Because we know we have a date and we know what we're doing, all of a sudden, like, everything's changing with momentum, right? So we're like, oh, let's write all these emails. Let's give everybody free training. Let's do all this stuff. And so now all of a sudden it's what I call forced momentum, and it's forcing you to like get in the groove. And what happens is you actually start enjoying the groove, right?
Absolutely.
You start enjoying the groove because you're back in it. And we have, I think for me, I work the best. Unfortunately, I work the best when I have way too much on my plate, which is pretty much every day of my life. But when I have the most things to do, I get the most accomplished. So on top of, everything else we're doing, I have 3 places that I'm looking after, renovations, our studio, everything else going on. We got a conference coming up.
There's actually 4. The chicken coop.
Oh, the chicken coop.
4 places. So just a slight sideways comment. If there was any time in my life that I did not think I would ever be doing this, was last night. So you have to imagine this scenario. It's 7:00 at night. It's raining. Here's Faye and I, just the 2 of us, in a chicken coop with gloves on because we have no idea what we're doing because I don't want to hurt the chickens. I don't want to hold, whatever. We had to get 15 chickens from the bigger area into the enclosed area for the night. This was probably the funniest thing. I wish I had videotaped it because this would have gone viral. It was literally the funniest thing in the entire universe, watching the chickens who apparently usually respond to a bell.
Yeah, they do.
So
for everybody else.
So Farmer Jeff comes
not for us.
to the chicken coop. He rings the bell. He has the magic powers. And he said usually about half of them go into the room because it scares them and they go in. So no problem. So we figured we would only have maybe 6 or 7 chickens to actually round up and put in.
True.
Except for the fact that the chickens heard the bell, looked at the bell, looked at us, and continued on their merry day.
No, they beyond continued. They ran around and made us chase them.
They went to the far corners of the bigger area. So we didn't know what to do. It was just whatever you have visioning in your head of us trying to chase these chickens. It was that. It was beyond hysterical.
And here's the funny thing, because as I just said, there's all this momentum. It's it's the same thing when you're chasing chickens, right? You're just one after the other. You're not even thinking. You're just picking them up and going. And that's really what momentum's about, right?
Oh, they had momentum.
It's about continually going, moving and doing that. And again, in literally a couple minutes, we accomplished it, right? Got them all in because we didn't have a choice. We had that goal. We had that thing that we were moving towards. And I got to tell you, yesterday, sorry, my eyes watering. That's why I keep touching it. Yesterday, we were working. Stacy drove up here. We were working. Then we had to go in town to grab stuff for another project property we're working on. I forgot about that one. So we had to buy stuff. And then we went back to the farm. We made beds because we're organizing that. Then we had to get the chickens in. Then we were working on our GIA launch. We were working on all these other things, and it was all in one day.
It was a long day.
It was a long day. And today, same thing. We get up. We're working on the GIA launch this morning because we're adding more and more. We're like, what else could we give them for free training? What else can we give them in advance to see, that they can move forward and gain their momentum? So we're doing that, and then we're getting ready for this live, and now we got to go let out the chickens. And fix the beds.
But I still feel like, my dad always said, the more you do, the more you can do.
Right.
The less you do, the less you can do.
That's right.
And we are proof in the pudding of that, because the list of things that we had to do before end of day yesterday, including the chickens.
Yeah, it gets longer all the time.
Yeah, because the more you do, again, it increases your momentum, because, you're like, oh, I can do this. And then you get more energized and excited, like we're excited about the launch. So that, again, gives you more energy. And you're like, okay, I can do this. What can we do about this? And how can, like, we get excited when the launch is coming, because we're excited because it's summer too, right?
It's fun. And, but we have so much to do. Like in the next 3 weeks, it's crazy. I can't even, like, I don't think about it in advance, because if I think about it, I think I will probably, have a heart attack. But like just next week is going to be insane. Like, I don't think there's any time to sleep at all next week.
No.
So, but I mean, again, it's like you're right. The more you do, the more you can do. It just, so if you are sitting here at home and you haven't done anything for a couple of days, now it's time to get off your butt and do something and start that momentum going. And all you need to start it is one simple goal, right? Just one thing. It might, for some of you who, are taking the week off and you want to like clean your cupboards or something, then make a goal. Just say, okay, at the end of the day, I want to clean out all the kitchen. But force yourself to say, I'm not going to bed. I'm not doing anything until I finish the goal. And then once you finish one goal, you just need one congratulations, pat on the back to yourself. When you get one goal done, it will be very simple for you to go to the next step. But you need to take the first step. It's not any different than whether you start a new diet, you start an exercise plan. The first one is the most painful, right? Whether it's, you have to write an email or you have to figure out what you want to offer out there or whatever it is. The first one's the most painful. After that, it flows. And then you're in that rhythm, and you have to get back in that rhythm, because a lot of us have lost our rhythms in COVID. Yes. Some people have gained it, but most people have actually lost it.
Well, I think because, again, if you think about a sort of a typical person's life sort of pre-COVID, we were very busy. We were running all over the place. Maybe we had kids who were going in 15 different directions. We had meetings outside the house, so we had to get there. All of this stuff. And it was part of our regular life. And then COVID hit, boom. We were at home. Things started to slow down. We had more time to do things. Therefore, I think our momentum got very much impacted negatively, because it's like, I'll just sleep in today, and you've got all this time, and there's not really anything going on. Stores are closed. I can't do that. So there's a lot of, maybe using things as excuses. I always like the one where people are like, I'd go to the gym, but they're closed. Yeah. You wouldn't have gone to the gym. No. If they were open, but that's okay. I like the COVID excuse. Yeah. Those made me laugh. Yeah. But you're right. Now that we're sort of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, at least here in North America, I know that the US is way ahead of us here in Canada in regards to their opening. And I see people in stands and games, watching sporting events and stuff like that. So it's exciting to see that. But again, it was from one step. So that momentum is coming. And I think that also kind of gives you a little bit more energy to kind of go, okay, are you going to be ready at the end of the summer when we're ready to kind of kick things back into high gear?
You know who has a lot of momentum right now?
Who?
The Habs.
Go Habs, man. Yeah. I don't know how my marriage is going to last through these finals, because my husband's a huge Habs fan. He didn't sleep last night. For those of you who don't watch hockey, it was Game 7 and they won in overtime. Game 7 overtime is probably the most stressful thing in the entire world. Yes. And he's still alive this morning, so that's good.
And it's the Habs are the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes, they're the Habitants.
Yeah, so in case you guys don't know who that is,
they're the only Canadian team left. So it's going to be whoever wins tonight's game is who they're going to be playing next.
Well, what's interesting? Did you see everyone after the game?
No, I went to bed. That's how much I care.
I just watched the news. So everyone was in the streets. They were like, everywhere. So much for COVID rules. But again, lots of momentum for that team. So here's the thing. Sometimes when you say you're a Habs fan, right? Or any sports team, when your team has momentum, it's amazing that you do too, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're a sports person, you watch that and you get excited, and
because you say we did a good job.
We did, and you're on the journey, so you're getting up and going, and then and think about it. Like if you're a Toronto fan, which is who I am, then, your momentum just died.
But it's interesting, though. It's funny that you said that because my husband always says he wants them to score first.
Right.
He wants them to get that first goal because when they get that first goal, it builds momentum.
Yeah.
And if the other team scores first, then they lose momentum. So he literally says that to just score first.
Yeah.
So you get that momentum, and exactly what you just said, right? Do that one thing and you'll start to gain momentum because it's done. It's one step. That first step, like you said, is always the hardest. But once you take it, you're kind of like, okay, I can take a second step now.
So if you're out there and you're in digital world and you want to do a download, you want to do your first lead magnet, right? Your first lead magnet. You've never done it before. You're just starting your list. That first subscriber is so exciting because then you're like, oh my God, I'm into this. Or if you're actually selling your first sale, like it's a big deal, but you need to start getting that momentum going. If you don't, if you're really still down, surround yourself again. Come to our community. Surround yourself with people that will help you keep that momentum up, because if you sit in a silo on your own, it's really hard to get the momentum unless you're very self-motivated. A lot of us aren't, right? A lot of us have to have something someone to speak to or something to look towards. So
absolutely. So that's a great way to segue into the weekend.
Yeah.
So how are you going to keep your momentum going?
Yeah. And I guess the easiest way to start is come and join us in the Tiki Bar.
It's a great way to end the week.
Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can get the link in the community. Join us.
See you then.